Alright, stream is public. So, I did a 3-hour Grisaia stream last night. My throat was getting a little sore from reading most of the dialogue during that 3 hours, so I don't know if I'll be pulling that again. Not too likely I'll pull another 3-hour stream again. Continue. So I got through 3 whole chapters in that 3 hours. And then again, things certainly started to get more interesting. There was that pretty thought-provoking visit that Yuji and Makina went on to his master's headquarters, her living place headquarters. So yeah, there was that outing at the cabin. And then right after that outing at the cabin, there was the bombing. And it's probably gonna get worse for Makina from here on out. I mean, she just saw her sister getting blown to smithereens in this car, and it's still probably gonna get worse for her. I can only imagine. Idiot! Your butt's sticking up into the air. Those pretty little buttocks are gonna be full of shrapnel. Are you planning to send your ass back home in a box? Idiot! Get it down! Oh, and after the bombing incident, Yuji also decided to teach Makina some tips to protect herself against any more future explosions. So pretty much she was being trained to just protect herself from future explosions. And also, Makina convinced Michiru to join in on the training. You haven't even begun to be sorry, maggot. Didn't I just teach you to answer my orders with hua? This is awful. It's just too much. Michiru pressed herself flat to the earth in the explosive defense position. Makina mashes a heel down onto her posterior, snarling viciously. You can feel a slight glimmer of conscience in that the girl at least removed her boots first, but seriously. Where did she even pick up this demon marine drill instructor routine? She's impressively proficient at the verbal abuse. Hold on. Timeout. Yuji. Yuji. What's up? Don't give me that. Is that Army Rangers game you two play always like this? I wouldn't say always, but in general we engage in roughly similar activities. It's a game, right? Just make-believe, right? Why is she so serious about this? Harsh training's a good thing. When you're actually in the field, isn't the thought that drill instructor put me through worse than this kind of reassuring? Approach your drills like battle and battle like your drills. Isn't that a little wrong somehow? I mean, we're just students, right? There's nothing wrong with the theory. If anything's wrong about this scenario, wouldn't it be the way you swallowed my crab hook, line, and sinker? I was tricked after all. What's all this? Winning already? Seems you're lacking sufficient motivation. Alright, let's get some spirit back in you. Give me 30 squat jumps. Squat jumps? Link your hands behind your head and go down on one knee, then jump up and switch to your other leg. I'll do it next to you, so imitate me, okay? Prepare for squat jumps. Ready to squat jump. Sounds like they're doing more than just squat jumping. Sounds like they're breaking several bones each jump they make. Hold it, maggot! Why'd your knees keep rattling against each other like castanets? And you were barely getting off the ground. I want 15 centimeters. We're starting over. Alright. I don't think rattling knees honestly matters as much either way, but busting your balls over any arbitrary little thing they can find is a drill instructor's job. The girl seems oddly professional about this, down to the strangest little details. Have to admit, this might feel a little too realistic for a game. Makina, your cell phone seems to be ringing. You're right. Wonder who's calling. Makina takes out her phone from her pocket and checks the caller ID screen, but... What's wrong? Aren't you going to answer that? Yeah, Ranger Matsushima. Keep going as you are until I return. With those words, Makina trots off toward the nearby bicycle parking space. Her phone's still buzzing away. When it comes to people calling Makina's cell phone, Suo Mane would be By far the most likely possibility, followed by Komisachi. But if the call was from either of them, she'd hardly need to be so secretive about it. Sounds like she's broken at least 5 or 6 bones in her body by this point. Poor Michiru. You can stop now. Hey Yuji, you know what? I think this is starting to feel a little fun. That's so? Well, good for you. Your knees! Michiru's knees rattle violently as she continues her vigorous leaps. Depending on how you look at it, the strange smile on her face can be seen as the delirious expression of a soldier fallen prey to self-destructive despair. Well, whatever. This is pretty heavy exercise given the heat, so a bit of temporary lunacy isn't surprising. Heat and exhaustion often make people go a little off in the head. However, the person in question usually doesn't realize it. Asako, that being Yuji's master, once told me a story from a time she'd been shipped off to a war in South America. An unending heat wave, combined with enemy bombings that came like clockwork every day, had worn down her nerves to the point of numbness. Eventually, the company commander was wounded in action, and a new first lieutenant who arrived from the rear took over. He was apparently a timid man, prone to trembling in his trench when the bombs began to fall. Asako found the shaking so hilarious that she'd spend the entire duration of the attacks cackling uproariously. The lieutenant interpreted this as a sign of derangement and promptly had her shipped back home. What's abnormal? What's normal? Depends entirely on your circumstances and perspective. Granted, I'm tempted to interpret Michiru's current actions as evidence she's lost it. But to Michiru, this course of action might seem like the most reasonable thing in the world. But just as I'm pondering this possibility, the girl suddenly stops moving entirely. Squatting down, she wraps her arms around her knees and begins to mutter indistinctly at the ground. Given this heat and her clear physical exhaustion, it's possible that her brain's just melting in a stew of lactic acid. Oh, hey Makina. What's up? Who was that? It was Grandpa. Grandpa would be my mom's papa. Wait, is he still alive? The former head of the Irisu family, eh? What do you have to say? This isn't really the best place. I see this isn't good news, right? Hold on just one second. Mind if I ask you a quick question before I go, Makina? What does the word Apu signify? I don't know, I mean, that's what you're worried about here? Not Chiru, who's currently holding her knees and rolling around on the ground? I mean, she's laughing, right? Guess it's all good then. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's good. Sometimes it's better to just listen to the voice acting than try and just imitate it yourself. Michiru seems to have balked the landing and twisted her ankle. The heat and fatigue have clearly done a number on the girl. She laughs hysterically, as though confusing pain with pleasure. Well now, what to do? For the moment, Malka and I surround the girl at a distance and poke her with a stick. Fortunately enough, Sachi happens to pass by a moment later. After explaining the situation, she says leave it to me and leaves the courtyard at a trot. Assuming the maid had run off to call an ambulance or something of the sort, we wait by Michiru's side offering encouraging words. This continues for about 15 minutes or so. At long last, Sachi returns in a pristine white maid uniform. Of course. Cheerfully singing wee woo, and proceeds to nimbly snap together a folding aluminum stretcher. She changed clothes first? I'm certain we're all thinking it, but nobody dares voice the words. In any case, Maka and I go with the flow to entrust Michiru to our new nurse's enthusiastic care, then offer our brave colleague a deeply sincere salute as she is rolled off on the wheeled stretcher like a cylinder of propane on a cart. I'm guessing we got more bad news, right? Seems like this song always comes on when there's some bad news. It's bad news. I'll listen. Hello, this is Makina. It's you, Makina. It's really been a while. At least 6 years. It's been a while, but why now all of a sudden? It's has to have been 6 years. Try to speak up a little, I'm getting up there in the years. My ears don't work as well as they used to. Well, it's old, so it's okay. He's old, so of course. The other end of the line person was Makina's grandfather. The call had been placed directly by Irisu Haruchika, the man who led the Irisu clan before his retirement. I'm sure you've heard by now, but Sarina was in a serious accident yesterday. I don't think it was an accident. That car bombing was probably intentional. That wasn't an accident. It was an accident. Do you understand? I don't even want to understand. Tell me, Makina, don't you think it's about time you came home? Why are you saying this now, Grandpa? Why now, after all this time? Don't be too angry with me. I know I didn't come to visit you in the hospital, but I did have my reasons. Oh, really now? Just until the other day, I wasn't even aware you'd been discharged. A faction within the branch house afraid of Makina's potential return must have deliberately prevented that information from reaching him. Faction within the branch house. This is just one big, complicated crime family we're talking about here, isn't it? And of course, Makina is just a kid at heart, wants to live her own life, and these fuckers won't let her. Okay, so this is the check that Makina gave to Yuji, the 70 million yen earlier. And then, of course, the grandfather will be interested once there's, like, once we're talking money, then of course. 70 million yen, that's like well over $500,000, so of course. How could you turn your head at 500? How could you turn your head at half a mil? I've been told you were still disabled and receiving long-term medical care. If you left the hospital, why didn't you come to see me? I don't know, because you don't give a shit about me? Are you still caught up on what happened to Masataka-kun? That was an accident. Her father, the person she loved more than anyone else in the world, was gone. All that was left there was her nasty, high-strung mother, her grandmother, who used to stare at her with cold eyes of someone contemplating a broken toy. Her kind but willfully blind grandfather, utterly unreliable when push came to shove, and the servants who suffocated her spirit, justifying everything with the words, "I'm afraid these are my instructions." At a glance, that house offered everything a person could possibly want. But it was a hollow shell full of hollow people. A gilded prison. It was the sort of place where saying, "I want to learn how to ride a bike," would result in someone buying you a purebred horse you hadn't even asked for. What was there to miss about a home like that? Now, I fear to happen what's gonna happen. I fear to imagine what's gonna happen if she says no, which she's probably going to. They'd no doubt take good care of her if she returned, but only because they valued her as an asset or respected her position. Nobody there would even try to understand Makina herself. Some might say, "So what, sounds like a good deal," and maybe they wouldn't be wrong. Others might say you ran away from home, but you're still going to the school on your family's money, living completely freely. What right do you have to complain? And she couldn't argue the point. But even so, just thinking about returning to that house made Makina's eyes fill with tears. Everything that was precious to her, everything she needed to be herself, would be ruthlessly thrown away. Money and power warped people beyond recognition. Makina knew that all too well. She was simply afraid of that house. I understand how you feel. It's a heavy burden to bear. Not just anyone can do this job. That's probably a little frightening to think about. But precisely because you feel that way, there are things only you can do. Come back home, Makina. I don't want to, Grandpa. I'm not the person I used to be. I don't want to be like that ever again. Seriously? So you have chosen death? Seriously. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I don't wanna. I can't take that place anymore. I'm afraid it's not likely anyone will accept that answer. Well, alright. I won't ask you to come back right away. But will you try to think this over for a while? Think very carefully. Imagine yourself a year from now, 10 years from now, and 30 years from now. Then decide what you really want to do. Yeah, she went back to the house. Maybe 30 years from now, she'd be trying to kill her own daughter. I don't think Grandpa, I mean the people from the main family, really, are gonna give up on getting me to come back. Maybe, just maybe, the bombing yesterday might have been something people from the main family did to make me come back. But if they'd screwed up even slightly, you could have gotten blown away too. They wouldn't have known I was going to be there. If people from the main family were really behind it, I think they must have been pretty panicked when I showed up. I don't really follow all this business with the main family and branch family. At the end of the day, what are their objectives here? So, two families lumped into one. It's basically a squabble for control between the two families. The branch family wants my sister to inherit leadership as their figurehead, and the main family wants me there instead. They're after power and money. Alright, hang on, let me see. I'm gonna get this off screen. Hang on, let me see. If they're really spamming not safe for work in the database, then obviously I don't want that to actually show up on our live stream. Are you sure you can't just go and delete it yourself? I mean, I'm in the middle of a live stream here, for fuck's sake. You mean my site is under attack? If it's just malicious data in the database, I can wipe it. If I can simply wipe it, then all should be well, right? Do you think they got into the database directly? Or are they just using the site as intended? The new password. Which one was that? Because it's not letting me log in. Did you reset it again? So you changed it. Okay, you changed it again, I see. I guess I should look and see what I need to delete. Yeah, I'll have to look and see where I can do that, though. Yes, it's fine, I'll keep you updated. So, do I need to do anything right now or not? And then you wonder why I can't get other things done. And then people wonder just why I've slacked on Grisaia for so long. And then people wonder where the hell am I? I think that should answer your question. I'll probably have to take a closer look at it after the stream, perhaps. I'm not familiar with the exact details, but I understand the scale of the prize we're talking about here. The Irisu family's long-standing assets extend to countless subsidiaries, both foreign and domestic. They're not just prominent in industrial manufacturing, finance, and retail, but also major players in iron and steel, shipbuilding, and even armaments. The money flowing through the Irisu apparently rivals the budget of a pencil. Small what? Small country. Budget of an entire country. You eat food imported by the Irisu in your school cafeteria as you grow. In time, you find employment and an enterprise under the Irisu umbrella. When you grow sick, you're taken to an Irisu hospital, and when you die, you rest under a gravestone manufactured by the Irisu. If you're born in Japan, it's all but impossible not to interact with that family in some way. But despite this astonishingly wide influence, the name Irisu itself will probably get you a blank stare as often as not. The brands in their conglomerate include many household names, but the parent company itself is fairly obscure. Like those with real power don't tend to advertise it, like the old nobility hidden above the clouds. And Irisu Makina, who stands to inherit the seat at this very top of this lofty house, is still in her teens. Practically a child. Who could blame the girl? She panicked in the face of that burden and ran away and tried to hide. Your grandfather said you don't have to come back immediately, didn't he? Yeah. In that case, seems to me you should start by mulling this over. First of all, whether you're going to return to your family or not. I mean, that's pretty much the one decision, right? That's the one decision we're talking about here, right? If you're going to return, figure out what you're going to do there. Or what you're going to do if you refuse. What you really want to do from now on. Your grandpa gave you the chance to deliberate about this, right? But even grandpa isn't going to wait forever, you know? No, not a problem. I'll get you as much time as you need. How? That depends on how they want to play it. I haven't settled on any specific plans yet, but I'm ready to do anything I need to. That's right. Don't you remember? I made you a promise, Makina. Even if everyone else in the world became your enemy, I'd protect you. Those words weren't just for show. I really will do whatever I possibly can. You don't need to worry about a thing. Just go about your normal life exactly as you have. But don't worry, you've given me fair compensation for my services. There's nothing to feel guilty about. You're important enough to me that I was willing to make that promise. Hell, at this point, you've become my purpose in life. I'm living for your sake and I'll die for your sake. I've been prepared for that from the start. In conclusion, there's no problem here. I'll kick the crap out of every last jackass stupid enough to harass you. You just sit back and see what a man who's found something to protect can do. Are you really okay with that? I'm your father, remember? Showing off in front of our kids like this is what we do. There's nothing a father doesn't know. No problem he can't overcome. In other words, relax and think this over carefully. Whatever your choice. I'll accept it absolutely and support you with everything I've got. Overcome with emotion, even beginning to sob a little, Makina ducks her upper body low to the ground and rushes forward. A split second later, her forehead smacks into my solar plexus with a solid thunk. Oh, so she tackled him again. After that day, I've attempted to stay close by Makina's side as much as possible. I sincerely doubt there'd be many idiots reckless enough to try and pull anything inside the school. Essentially a stronghold of the Sakaki family. But preparing for that long-shot what-if is my job. Fortunately, I've been trained in guarding someone without even allowing them to realize they're being protected. The only real problem is night. Without a doubt, human beings are most defenseless when they're sleeping. It's the ideal timing for a raid or kidnapping attempt. I'm not capable of staying awake constantly to protect the girl as she sleeps. As the single simplest countermeasure, it would be ideal if I could arrange to spend my nights with Makina, but... Is it okay if I sleep with Papa in his room from now on? Makina's expression is unusually serious, with no hint of the standard messing around. And although this would usually be the part where I deliver a karate chop to that well-positioned head of hers, I simply stand quietly behind the girl without raising any objection. Apparently, Amane senses something strange in the air. She lets out a long, soft sigh, then nods deeply to herself. Makina, do you know what you're saying? Yeah. If that's your decision, I won't say a thing. But now that you've made up your mind, make sure you tough it out all the way to the end, okay? Even if it gets scary or starts to hurt, don't say stop halfway through. Night won't last forever. The morning will always come. Be brave and keep hanging in there. Huh? Yeah. I'll hang in there, but... Okay, we get it. Well, yeah, that's the plan. Also, I expect you to be responsible about contraception. You have condoms, I assume? Okay, Amane, let me return from that question a moment ago. Do you have any idea what you're saying? What? What doesn't cut it, woman? Although it seems there may have been a slight discrepancy in our understanding of the situation. It was agreed Makina would spend her nights in my room. Regrettably, my room has only one bed and it's a single. It wouldn't be so bad to huddle together for warmth in the winter, but at this time of the year the idea is not particularly appealing. Yielding the bed to Makina, I spread out a mat and sleeping bag on the floor for myself. A little hot for that, don't you think? At my old school, 10 at night was lights out time. By 11, they'd cut the electricity to the dorm off entirely. Even the air conditioners went dead. In other words, I'm fairly accustomed to sleeping under hot and stuffy conditions. But there's hardly any need to go out of my way to recreate the experience. And also, if by any chance someone really did attack, we'd be better off sleeping at different points in the room. Attack Team A probably leads off by knocking at the door. Just as I'm getting to reach up for the knob, they blast the lock upper and lower hinges with simultaneous shotgun fire. As I flinch backward reflexively, Team B crashes in through the window on the opposite side of the room and pincers us both. Doubt I'll be able to hold them off for even 3 minutes. Compared to me and Makina huddling together in one bed where we can easily be encircled, dispersing ourselves on the bed and floor expands the area that has to be targeted, giving us more options. Alright, time to sleep. Get in bed. Mumbling her approval listlessly, Makina turns around to face away from me, and abruptly begins pulling off her clothes on the spot. After stripping down to her underpants, she takes a big t-shirt, gone all loose in the collar, presumably a hand-me-down from Amane, and pulls it over her head as sleepwear. Might be a t-shirt to Amane, but on Makina it's a one-piece dress. Resisting a sudden urge to smile, I open my window and drape the towel I used after my shower outside to dry. I carefully position the towel just low enough to hide the bed Makina's crawled into almost completely, and deliberately leave the curtains open. For anyone out there interested in observing this room, this strip of fabric will present a simple hindrance. If the bath towel's position shifts even slightly overnight, it would suggest the existence of someone looking inside. The degree and direction of the movement could even help determine the point from which they're observing us. Basic tricks like this won't often accomplish much against a professional, but a multitude of small insurance policies is the best way to keep things safe and quiet. I'm turning off the lights. A sliver of pale light streams to the room from the streetlights outside. There's no sound but the chirping of insects. Somewhere far away, the cicadas are still singing. The bright city and warm concrete might have caused them to confuse night with day. I yawn inside my sleeping bag, feeling dull fatigue slowly spreading out from behind my eyes. Going to bed at this hour should mean I'll wake up briefly around 2:30 in the morning. For each of the 5 main routes, I'm pretty sure there's a bad ending for each one, and a good ending. And if I recall correctly, it's just one choice in each route you have to make, and if you make the wrong choice, you get the bad ending. And if you make the right choice, you get the good ending. So yeah, one for each character. And one good ending for each character. Let's talk about something. What again? You have anything specific in mind? Is there something you want to be when you grow up? Something I want to be, huh? I think this is the first time she's asked me about my future rather than my past. Putting aside the question of whether I'll even have one, it's not like I haven't daydreamed about it every once in a while. But even so, there's a collar on my neck that isn't coming off till I'm dead. Taking that into consideration, the number of paths realistically open to me are severely limited. Let's see. Guess I see myself ending up as a taxi driver, maybe? It's a classic choice for our employees. While spending most of your time working for a private taxi company, you get a minor allowance of 150,000 yen a month as a reserve member, ready to be called up when needed. The jobs open to an employee on the reserve aren't strictly limited, but ideally they want you in a position where you can respond quickly to an emergency summons. And from that perspective, a taxi driver is probably the best possible option. How about you, Makina? You have any ideas about the future? You don't have to think about the thing with your family. I'm asking about your dreams. I haven't really thought about the future so much. I just don't want to go back home. That's all I used to think about. Not about what I want to do or what I can do. Sort of vaguely want to stay in this school forever, just like this. Stay with all the nice people here forever. That's not really an option, right? Well, you're going to graduate eventually. Do I really have to graduate, or can I just stay here for the rest of my life? Asheroth. Whatever year I Love College came out. So okay, you know how I'm working at a bakery right now? Guess I was sort of thinking I could save up some money and start my own eventually. Oh, that's right. She did say something about a sniper or a baker, didn't she? So I set up this bakery by the ocean, and it'd be sort of like a little cafe. People could come in and eat freshly baked rolls and bread and stuff. And I want to set it up someplace where everybody can drop by, even after we all graduate from Mihama. That way I can still see all my friends whenever I want. There's an idea. If you had a bakery like that, I could stop by in my taxi to hang out. Oh, come on. You're supposed to be running the bakery with me. What? I'm part of this too? I'll bake the bread, so you're in charge of the coffee and tea. What you think? I see. Yeah, I guess that kind of life wouldn't be half bad either. I know, right? I bet it'd be lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun. Every single day. Yeah, almost like a dream. I don't know exactly what kind of life Makina has lived up until now, but I do know a little about the Irisu. A family of immense power that stays behind the scenes, constantly maneuvering deep below the surface of society. I know Makina didn't ask for the role they forced onto her shoulders. Even as a child, she sensed something strange about the world she lived in, so clearly different from that of others her age, and in time, she came directly into contact with the foul corruption inside her own family. That corruption claimed her father, the only person in the Irisu household who loved her. She hasn't had a real ally since. Even that small goal of opening a bakery, hardly the wildest of ambitions, must seem like a faint and distant dream to Makina. Makina's hopes for the future had stayed hidden away deep inside for some time. Maybe speaking them out loud provided something in the way of catharsis. The girl's already snoring softly into her pillow. If my child has dreams, I won't spare any effort to help make them happen. That's my role now. The problem is Makina's grandfather. The girls told him that she isn't going to return, but I can't imagine he'll accept that answer. Makina wants nothing to do with the Irisu clan anymore, but simply declaring that won't bring this to an end. Even if we did manage to win over her grandfather, the Irisu aren't a small enough organization to be swayed by the will of one soft-hearted individual. It was too late the moment the old man learned she was in good health. Makina will be dragged into a power struggle, whether or not she wants any part of it. There's no longer any room for doubt. Even if I make the whole world my enemy, huh? Might have gone a little overboard with that one. But there are some things a man has to do. I made my decision, and I'll carry it out, even if that means tearing the chains off my neck and becoming a stray. I think this job might be the reason why I'm here, and in that light, it feels as though my life might have some small meaning of its own. The next morning, I wake up drenched in sweat. Not that that was anything out of the ordinary, just the usual nightmare. As planned, I woke up at 2:30 to check up on Makina. The girl was still out like a light, drooling onto an already filthy pillow. All well and good. But when I tried to go back to sleep, I found my nerves were badly on edge. Although I kept my eyes shut and turned around in my sleeping bag many times, I couldn't manage to get much rest. When I did nod off in a light slumber, I'd spend maybe 15 minutes in the nightmare, then jerk awake again. The pattern played out again and again, straight through to morning. Just how long will it take before I can forget that day? The memory's glued in place, never fading no matter how many years pass. I can even remember the dull sensation of the weapon against my palm. As I wipe beads of sticky sweat from my forehead with the back of one hand, my half-open eyelids twitch at the touch of summer sunlight. The light pouring in through the window is already intense, suggesting another blazing hot day to come. This is no good. My harsh breathing just doesn't want to settle down. I can't get back into my normal rhythm. This heavy, irritating feeling, as though I've got some malevolent spirit squatting on my back, lingers on and on. Suddenly realizing my throat's painfully dry, I force my leaden body off the ground and crawl into my sleeping bag. I pour myself a glass of tap water from the kitchen sink, and then another. And another. I can't stop sweating. No matter how many times I wipe the salty liquid off my face, the beads keep trickling down. In the moment I realize they're actually tears, I sense someone gazing at me. Nothing's wrong. No doubt woken by the sound of the gushing faucet, Makina sitting up in bed. Her eyes are still blearily with sleep, but her gaze is focused intently on me. Are you crying? It's nothing, I'm just sweating. Rather than embarrassment at letting the girl see me crying, fear at having revealed my weakness takes precedence. Menaced by some vaguely defined shadow, overwhelmed by the need to escape, I hurriedly throw on my running clothes. Gonna run for a while. Beyond pathetic. No matter how many years pass, I'm still a gutless weakling, brought to tears by dreams. I'm always running away from something. Always being chased by shadows. Even after my master took me in. This fundamental cowardice never really went away. I need to protect Makina. For her sake, of course, but also for mine. If I were to lose even her, I don't think I'd ever be able to get back on my feet again. I run into the muggy morning as if fleeing from that frightening thought. Makina, are you really alright with this? Oh, so was this the nightmare? No. I want you to take it from me. How much of this are we actually gonna get to see? I know I'm playing a censored version of the game, so I'm pretty sure she's gonna fade to black right now, and we're not gonna actually get to see this. Very well then. Papa will now rob you of your virginity. Oh, so is this what the nightmare was about? Rob it real good, man. Here we go. This is friggin' ridiculous, you know? I'm not done yet, you know. This ain't happening. No way, no how. Any more than this, you're just gonna rip me apart, okay? Sorry, but I'm throwing in the towel for today. Let me explain something to you, Makina. When a man sets his mind on something, he can't just casually reverse course halfway through, you understand? Well, I get where you're coming from, but... Okay then, let's get back to it. Makina, wasn't that a figure of speech? It seems like you're literally tearing. I done been torn clean apart, just like a bag of chips. What is this sex scene right now? Torn apart like a bag of chips. What is this? Done split into two! Or something like that. She gets divided into Makina A and Makina B. What is wrong with you, woman? When I returned from my run, I found Amane waiting for me in the lounge. From what she tells me, it's been Makina acting strangely. Early this morning, the girl visited Amane's room with a somewhat discouraged look on her face, and proceeded to sit around sighing heavily. Amane tried to talk to her, but she answered only in vague grunts and monosyllables. Speculating that things hadn't gone well in bed last night, Amane searched for appropriate words of comfort, but when she looked back after taking her eyes off the girl for a brief moment... Something about making dough... When she returned to her room, this time she found Makina curled up in the corner of the room with her head in her hands, groaning miserably. Faced with these absurdly dramatic and seemingly random mood swings, Amane arrived at a bold hypothesis. There are actually two Makinas. Figured it must be that sort of trick. Alright, Amane. First of all, let's think this over rationally. Who would this trick be trying to deceive, and to what end? It's not like I was really being serious, you know? Yes, I'm just a little curious if something happened last night. Nothing worth mentioning. I do have a rough idea as to the root cause of Makina's unusual behavior. The girl's had a heavy problem fall into her out of nowhere, and it's not something she can carelessly discuss with her friends. But moping around in silence would only attract concern, making her feel even more awkward and miserable. So she forced herself to smile and sing in an attempt to lighten the mood, but soon enough some careless thought abruptly reminded her of her worries. And once again, Makina ended up with her head in her hands, sighing and groaning over the problem she can't possibly resolve on her own. The one and only person she can really talk to about all this is me. Seeing tears on my face this morning must have worsened her emotional turmoil. Rather than running off in an inept attempt at hiding what happened, I should have sat down and talked to the girl honestly. Looking back on it now, I regret that choice. So then, were the two of you in fact able to successfully engage in sexual relations last night? Well, hello to you too. I mean, why are you even here? I heard from Mane-san that last night you and Maki-chan were beginning to share a bed. I suppose there's something of the yenta about me. Look, I don't know how many times I need to say this, but I didn't do anything I need to feel guilty about. Makina came to my room and slept in my bed. I slept on the floor. That's it, nothing else happened. Clear enough for you? I'm gonna decide when Makina's kinda down today. What a letdown. I'm disappointed in you, Kazami-san. Oh, sorry, why? Listen carefully, Yushi. When a girl stays over in a man's room, she's as good as saying, "Do me now." I really don't think that's a universal law. Personally, I've heard plenty of stories about women crashing in a male friend's place after missing the last train home. Then awkwardly shooting a guy down when he tries to make a move. Sealing herself in preparation for making love, she takes a long, thorough bath. Clutching a pillow against her chest to hide the rapid beating of her heart, she lies ready and waiting, only to be thoughtlessly ignored. At this rate, Maki-chan's pride as a woman will be reduced to tatters. Okay, but what exactly are you telling me to do here? Makina is baking some bread in my room right now. How about you sneak up and hug her from behind and whisper, "Makina, I want you," in her ear. Should be good enough. But what if she just shakes me off and yells, "Cut it out," or something? Now I'm the one nursing the bruised ego. Sulky women are troublesome beyond measure. The representative director of the Troublesome Women's Society, and Madame J.B. is a prototypical example. Not only will she shriek, "Cut it out," when you try to make amends, if you actually stop, she'll get even angrier. It's truly incomprehensible. All for your posturing about being a grown-up. In the end, you're just a little boy too. You're completely clueless, Yuji. Just what I needed. Another pain in the ass. Listen up. When a tsundere says stop, it means go. Understand? If she yells, "Don't push me," that's your cue to push her. That's a tsundere. Isn't that less of a tsundere and more of a slapstick comedian? In the first place, Makina's not exactly a tsundere, right? In any case, even if she's saying no, deep down inside she's going. Come at me harder. Pin me down as I struggle and scream. Got it? Well, sort of, I guess. Maybe. Another early morning gathering, I see. What are you people plotting this time? We're not really plotting anything, you know? It's just, even though Makina stayed in Yuji's room, he's saying nothing happened. So he started talking about if he was just lying. And if there wasn't anything, why not? Kazami-kun? Although you possess an easily misunderstood personality, and a tendency to make rather extreme jokes with a straight face, I don't believe you're a dishonest man at heart. While it might not always be obvious, I view you as a relatively sensible individual. So I'm going to ask you to tell me the honest truth. Did you sleep with Makina? Like I said, I didn't touch the girl. How many times do people expect me to explain this? Sorry to keep you waiting. I baked the buns! Why is everyone gathered up out here? Don't ask me. Too much damn time on their hands, a lot of them. What? Hey everyone, wanna try some buns? Behold my long-awaited new work, the M812. One or I? What's more like an I than a one? M8I2? Indeed, the M is a general classification indicating that here is a melon bun. The 8 means it's my 8th pastry product. The I stands for the manufacturer, Isu. And the 2 at the end means this is version 2.0. In other words, the suckers received 2 big revisions since the beta test. New and improved. They just look like normal melon buns. What's so improved about them? Dough swells up when you bake it, right? So I try making little waves of pie crust with a pastry cutter, then inserting it between the outside cookie dough and the bready base. Keep them separate, like... I wanted to emphasize the crunchy feel when you bite inside. Arguably the very heart of the melon bun experience. Sort of like the wing of an airplane, structurally speaking. Indeed, that's what gave me the idea. The sucker's modeled after the wing of an H-8K flying boat. No kidding. You've clearly put some thought into this. How about you try some? It's pretty freaking good. I see. That layer of air between the surface and main body really does emphasize the crispiness of the cookie dough. Not half bad. I know, right? Come on, everybody else try some too. I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, let's see here. Ah, you're right. This really is different. It's light and airy, but kind of crunchy? I think I might actually like this. That's a little hollow, too. Doesn't feel like there's much there, you know? True, but it might be quite tasty warmed up with some ice cream on top. Looks like reaching a more satisfying density is indeed the next problem to address. Gotta get cracking on that M8i3. What, you already got the next edition planned out? Indeed. This time I want to make a tic-tac-toe pattern between the bread and the cookie dough, then fill the space up with cream like an integral tank. So we're switching from the flying boat to the flying cigar, huh? The instant you take a bite, fresh cream comes spurting out from all sides. I name it One Bite Overflow. This sucker's gonna sell. Won't be easy to eat, but it'll sell. Not sure if I followed the logic there, but a passion for experimentation is a good thing. In a society defined by abundant plenty, something that's tasty but tricky to eat might distinguish itself as a high class precisely because of the slight inconvenience involved. The girl might not be too far off conceptually. It's all well and good, but at this point Amane takes the conversation on a troubling new path. This has been bugging me for a while, but why is this melon bun round? Don't that make it a sunrise instead? Thanks to this cryptic remark from our former Kanto resident, what the heck is a sunrise becomes the hot topic of the moment. Not that I particularly give a shit. Okay then, I'm heading out to my part-time job! Good, give him hell, kid. Before long, it's 8 o'clock, and Makina setting off for a shift at the bakery. Watching the girl march triumphantly out of her room, her prototype M8i2 safely stowed in the plastic bag, I'm not deeply to myself. Please tell me there's gonna be a bakery still. Alright then, guess I should get going as well. You going somewhere too? I'm working today myself. Even as I'm speaking, I quickly slip into one of my work uniforms and swing a bag full of tools over my shoulder. When do you think I'll be getting back? Let's see. 5:30 or so, as long as nothing comes up. So pretty much the same as Makina then? I'll have dinner ready and waiting, so give me a call if you're going to be late, okay? Will do. Alright then, I'll be on my way. Yep, see you later. Today I'm working as Makina's bodyguard. I received the full 70 million yen in advance payment on this one, so I can't exactly treat it like a game. That sort of money warrants a serious approach and professional attitude. I'm gonna double check to see how long I've been live here. Stepping out of the school gate. I casually turn my head to glance in the direction of the shopping district, immediately spotting Makina in the distance. Okay, 50 minutes I've been live so far. So I can't decide if I'm gonna go for an hour or an hour 30 minutes. I mean, if something like interesting happens, then I'm definitely gonna stay for a bit longer than an hour. After confirming that there aren't any suspicious cars stopped in the area, I start walking after on the opposite side of the street. There'd hardly be any point to tagging right along after the girl. Easier and less conspicuous just to walk her down to the station in the first place, but I do have my reasons for taking a more furtive approach. First of all, I don't want Makina to be aware that I'm guarding her. If she knows I'm protecting her, that knowledge would start to influence her actions in revealing ways. Even if I told her to try and act normally, an awkward movement would give it away sooner or later. If the enemy realizes Makina has a bodyguard, they'll change their tactics accordingly. That wouldn't be much fun from my perspective. The idea is to keep both Makina and anyone targeting her ignorant of my presence. Therefore, after following her from a good distance for a while, I begin cutting quickly through side streets to get ahead of her. If I was targeting Makina, I'd spend 7 days at the very least on observation, trying to get a solid grasp for her daily patterns of behavior. Before making any attempt, I'd compile the most detailed possible data I could on her walking speed, route, and typical itinerary. Sniper, kidnapper, whatever, any pro would do the same. In fact, I spent some time this morning putting myself in the shoes of an assassin, narrowing down some potential sniping points. I devised and evaluated a few plausible spots, simulating attempts at shooting Makina on her way to and from the bakery, but as a target, the girl's generally troublesome. First of all, she's a shrimp. Makes for a smaller target, more easily obstructed. Secondly, her actions are frequently hard to anticipate. If the girl comes across some hostess walking a cute little doggy, she'll without a doubt stop dead and hold a lengthy conversation with the animal. If she needs to make 3 turns to her destination, she'll randomly change the road she uses, so it's hard to nail down an exact route. Taking all those negatives into account, there are 2 spots that seem potentially effective. It's a detailed sketch of the terrain with a decent radius of the station, with 2 lines connecting hypothetical sniping spots and impact points. The first potentially effective choice is a shot from on top of the pedestrian bridge over the East Beach line rail track, which provides a good view of the main shopping district area. There's no cover to worry about, and the distance will only be about 300 meters. On top of which, you'd be hitting the girl from behind, making it easier to line up the shot. Problem is, you stand out too much. If you openly set up shop with a rifle up there, even a dim-witted grade schooler would point and yell, "Look, mommy, it's an assassin." Considering the risk of exposure, you probably have to snipe from under the canopy of a parked truck. But that'll limit your angle of fire severely, making it easy to lose track of the target in the crowd. Not too appetizing. Snipers need time to repair. It's not like they're going to tear up, fire a shot from the window, then peel out. Probably safe to conclude that no one's shooting from there today. But there's also the second possibility. A shot from the 8th floor of the parking garage, south of the Mishima Cape Station, next to the fashion building currently under construction. The structure itself isn't open to the public yet, so entry is restricted. In other words, once you slip in, you'll be able to spread out a pretty sizable shot without any awkward questions from passers-by. Also, since it's a downward angle, you should get a clean line of sight. The target's short stature won't be nearly so much of an issue. However, the shot will require firing between 2 buildings, obstructed by an elevated park in the Mishima Cape Station itself. No matter where you position yourself, you're not going to get even a 2-meter slice of visibility. What's more, you'd be firing at Makina from the side as she walks past from a range of 600 meters. If you take the time to identify the girl after she enters your field of view, she'll walk right by before you could even get a bullet over there. In other words, you got one chance and it only lasts a few seconds. Can't see it working without a cooperator following the target, constantly keeping you updated on her movements. So you mean a scout. Stopping just before an intersection that connects my side street to the main road, I peered down at the map in my hand, play-acting a blue-collar worker new to the area. And while glancing around as if to search for landmarks, I spot Makina approaching from the left. Keeping the brim of my plain worksman cap low over my eyes, I proceed to gaze in her general direction, not focusing on anything in particular. When you start deliberately darting your eyes around looking for suspicious people, you tend to get tunnel vision. Actually end up missing more than you would otherwise. On the other hand, when you take in the scene as a whole like you're appreciating a work of art, people moving in unusual ways will stand out as if painted in vivid hues. Right now we're near the very tail end of the morning rush to work. There aren't many people on the streets. Among the sparse crowd, one man quickly catches my eye. He's strolling along behind Makina, shooting her regular glances while putting on a great show of casually looking around the area. Complete amateur, any way you look at him. The tale's comically awful. I've seen love-struck middle schoolers stalking the crushes with more subtlety. At a glance, the guy seems to be in his late 20s or early 30s. He's wearing a 3,000 yen pair of loafers and a 2 for 30,000 suit. He's also got on a pair of eyeglasses with unusually thick black rims, perhaps as an attempt at disguise, but counterproductively, they make him stand out in the crowd. I can almost just leave this be. Not like he's going to get anything worthwhile. But even so, I'd like to know who this kid belongs to. Folding the map into a neat square and putting it away in my chest pocket, I casually step into a nearby Busky Robinson ice cream store. Beginning surveillance of target. Recorder Ihara Naoyuki. Muttering into the mic of the IC recorder set up in the inside pocket of his jacket, Ihara followed the girl from behind with his eyes. For crying out loud, why did it turn out like this? It had been a year and a half since Ihara resigned his previous position in a security company and took a job at the IGS detective agency through a friend's recommendation. Detective work had appealed strongly to Ihara since childhood. He did, of course, understand by now that a real Flatfoot's job wasn't the hard-boiled stuff in the stories. But changing the title on his business card from guard to investigator proved too tempting to pass up. And the rare field work that trickled down to him tended to be odd jobs like investigating adultery or searching for lost pets. He spent the better part of a year waiting unhappily for a chance to flex his muscles a little. Just as he was starting to feel something like regret at ditching the security guard position, a senior employee abruptly stopped by and said, "Chief wants to see you. Get a move on. Your clothes are fine as they are." Ihara's first reaction had been to tilt his head in confusion to try to remember if he screwed anything up lately, but the man leaned down and whispered, "Seems like you're getting a pretty important job." He was thrilled even until he learned that important job amounted to stalking a little girl. More than a bit of a letdown. That said, this Irisu Makina kid, currently tromping along the sidewalk 8 meters or so ahead of him, was certainly keeping Ihara on his toes. This said, the Irisu Makina kid was constantly glancing around the area as she walked, and if something caught her eye, she'd often come to an abrupt and total halt. Keeping a constant distance was proving very difficult, and even worse, she seemed to have a habit of glancing briefly behind her every time she turned a corner, never failing to startle him. It almost seemed like she might just have a terrible sense of direction. That constantly moving gaze could be her memorizing the area, and turning around might be an attempt to imagine the trip back home ahead of time. But according to the documents, Irisu Makina had been living in the city for nearly a year. It was hard to imagine getting lost would be a big issue at this point. Was she simply one of those ADHD kids, or what? If you looked at her behavior as deliberate acts of caution, you could see her almost as a well-trained spy, but Ihara knew he was probably deluding himself on that one. Just some part of him trying to make this more interesting than it really was. In reality, Makina didn't project the fierce, predatory menace of a trained agent. If anything, she looked more like a nervous little chipmunk, fearful of everything around her. Oops. The girl came to a sudden stop. She seemed to be peering at the LCD screen of a small electronic toy tied to her belt. Unless he was careful, Ihara was going to overtake her. He knew the girl's destination, so it would still be possible to resume surveillance even after passing her. But for now, he wanted to keep observing from behind. Ihara slowed his pace a little, then reached into his inner jacket pocket and pretended to search for a cell phone. What are you doing? Hurry up and get walking. At this rate, he was going to walk right on by her. It'd be hard to stay out of this target's field of vision much longer. At this point, maybe abandoning the surveillance outright would be best? It would be easy enough to take out his phone, check his mail, then abruptly turn around as if called back on some urgent errand. What do I do? Time to call it a day? 5 meters from his target. Ihara decided to make up his mind one way or the other within the next 2 meters. But as he continued his slow approach, Irisu Makina suddenly looked up from the toy at her waist, then broke into a pattering run. Damn it, she's completely unpredictable. What now? Run after her? He knew the girl was headed to her bakery, so it probably wasn't strictly necessary. But there wasn't much point in the surveillance mission if he couldn't keep her in sight. Laborer. Very sorry. Are you okay? The man bowed his head apologetically. He must have been looking at his map as he walked. Judging from his awkward Japanese, he probably wasn't from around here. For some reason, there was a timid half-smile on his face. When Ihara followed the man's gaze down, he couldn't help but shouting out loud, "Ah!" The rest of his suit was covered in thick gobs of ice cream. When he took another look, Ihara realized the man was holding a half-eaten cone in his other hand. It looked like one of those Pat Pong shower numbers from that Busky Robinson place the kids are going to these days. Sorry. Guo, Binda, Bio. Speaking cryptic words in a remorseful tone of voice, the man started rubbing at Ihara's suit with his bare hands. Ah, hey, don't spread it around. You're just making it even dirtier. Forget about it. Stop. A piney? Darimana tone? Hey, I'm telling you to stop. Don't touch me, alright? It's fine, so get lost. This is not good. Gathering this much attention on a stalking job was a huge blunder. While warding off the man persistently trying to clean his suit, Ihara hurriedly turned his head in search of Makina, but the girl was already gone. At least he hadn't been outright discovered by the subject of his surveillance, but continuing to tail her after this would be very difficult. It would probably be best to withdraw for the moment, then resume shadowing the girl after she finished her part-time job. Will you get lost already? Are you some kind of illegal, or what? The man visibly flinched at the word illegal. Finally, abandoning his inept attempt at brushing off Ihara's clothing, he pulled his cap down even lower over his eyes. Yes! And with this parting remark, the man in the work uniform beat a hasty retreat. What's with that guy? Whatever the case, things just hadn't worked out today. The slim metal recorder in his interior jacket pocket was gone. When Ihara moved his hand to the opposite pocket, the cell phone he'd left there was also missing. Disbelieving, he reached to the rear pocket of his pants to discover even his wallet had vanished. That bastard! He quickly spun around, but the suspicious foreign laborer had completely disappeared. You're kidding, right? Now Yuki Ihara fought a powerful urge to lie down on the sidewalk and curl up into a ball. In a narrow, dim alleyway 2 streets removed from the station plaza, a laborer was sitting on a stack of beer cases and humming the Lightspeed General Daimakarov theme song to himself. His attention was focused on a certain wallet, the fruit of his day's labors. There were 17,000 yen in bills inside. A small purse had another 657 in coins. Not a big haul by any means, but nothing to turn up your nose at. Inside the card sleeve there was an ATM card from a bank, credit card, patient registration ticket from a dentist, and proof of membership at a video rental shop. There's also a driver's license for standard cars with a gold stripe. Other than that, we got 20 convenience store coupons. Considering he's walking around with them, doesn't look like these will get used to often. Methodical, but a little too much pride for his own good? On her last visit only a half year ago. The man must have been going for regular checkups to have tartar scraped off or what have you. Definitely the methodical type. Ihara Naoyuki-san, eh? Naturally, the back of the driver's license was unblemished by violations. It was a genuine gold license. The man snapped open a small aluminum case he'd swiped along with the wallet, finding the inside full of business cards. An IGS kid, huh? I see. Hey, what are you doing in there? The man in the work uniform knew that voice all too well. And this wasn't the first time he'd been rendered half-blind by that overly bright flashlight either. Softly clicking his tongue out to his feet. Oh, come on. You again. Sami-san. Can you cut me a break here already? It's not like I did anything this time, you know. So what's with the get-up? Finally get kicked out of school and enter the working world? I'm a working student. This is the uniform for my part-time job. Something smells about this. What were you doing back there? Not much. Happened to find a wallet over there, so I was looking over to see if I could return it to the owner. You didn't just snatch that, did you? Come on, I've been a good Samaritan here, you know. Here, this is the wallet. Alright. Looks like the money's still inside. Didn't pocket any for yourself, did you? I'm not desperate enough to steal other people's money. I work for my food, as you can see. I see, yeah. Just a joke, sorry. More importantly, seemed like the owner had some business cards in there. IGS Detective Agency? Investigator. Ihara Naoyuki, huh? A detective, huh? Guessing from the contents of his wallet, it didn't seem like that lucrative a profession. What? You looked inside? Yeah, of course. Not a crime now? Not really, but... IGS Detective Company, eh? The Izuka General Security Private Investigative Agency, right? Wasn't that Izuka Satoru guy who runs the Sakura Dome in Alum? You're well informed. Name's pretty famous, that's all. But I did hear they dabble in some behind-the-scenes political jobs as well. Any truth to that? The heck do I know? In any case, I'll take care of this wallet. Come with me to the neighborhood station. What? Again? Your boss isn't going to be too happy if you drag me back in. Maybe so, but it's standard procedure to register the finder's full name and contact address. Why not just say you're one who found it? Even if you wrote my name down, each guy is just going to have the paper torn up. You'd only be making trouble for yourself. I don't know. Here, give me that wallet for a minute. What are you going to do? I'm going to drop it on the ground. Then you're going to pick it up. That way you won't be falsifying your documents. Fine, whatever. I'll say I found the damn thing. Why not at least pretend to pick it up? What's this? Someone seems to have dropped their wallet here. Satisfied now? Good job. Oh, while we're at it, take these two. A cell phone, and what's this thing? A voice recorder. Unfortunately, somebody or other seems to have cleared the memory. It was just lying here with the wallet. You really didn't steal this stuff, did you? Word of advice. Don't ask any more questions. I'm willing to bet your life's going to go a lot smoother that way. True. The higher-ups told me to put up with you. The thing is, Kazami-san, I didn't become a police officer to look the other way when someone commits a crime, you know? I'm not saying you should. I'm not looking to make you complicit in any evil-doing on my part. Kazami-san, buddy, you really are a giant pain in the ass. Human beings can't live without inconveniencing others. That works. Speaking from experience, people who know when to keep their mouth shut get ahead in life faster. You'll climb the ladder in no time. Great. Thanks so much. Okay, I'll be going now. Don't make too much work for me, alright? Next time I really will arrest you. I'll watch my step. Starving highway robbers in war-torn countries will murder people for a single can of food. Comparatively speaking, a filched wallet is hardly worth whining about, right? Not that I'm dumb enough to voice the thought. When people are raised in different environments, they'll naturally look at the exact same things in very different ways. But I'm not complaining. A peaceful way of life. Not seeing things best left unseen, ignorant of the facts best left unknown. Needs to be supported from the shadows. And that's the one and only reason anyone will bother keeping trash like me around. IGS Detective Agency. A major private investigation company, profitable enough to plaster ads across giant billboards in front of Tokyo train stations. Well known for its founder, the former Sakura Demon big shot, Satoru Izuka. Lately, the man's been getting a lot of face time as a security expert on news programs and such, earning plenty of free publicity for his agency. It's a well-known, respectable business, but IGS is also well-versed in shady political dealings, thanks to a tendency to offer retiring police lucrative advisory jobs. For a private business, you hear a lot of rumors about their involvement with incidents concerning the establishment. In reality, however, they do seem to know where to draw the line. IGS claims to be a completely independent private company with no tolerance for illegal behavior, and it doesn't just seem to be a pretense. The fact that one of their employees was investigating Makina's behavior means that her enemies are still in the exploratory stage for now. These people aren't going to harm her even if I leave them alone. The question is how long that harmless observation will continue and what comes after it. I try to analyze the situation from the ground up. There are 4 basic questions here. Why? Who? How? And finally, what do I do about it? Why is Makina being targeted? She was removed from her position as a successor of her family because of health problems, but now her recovery has been confirmed. Simple as that. Until now, Makina's good health wasn't public knowledge. I was protecting her. Otherwise, the girl probably would have been targeted the moment she was discharged from the hospital. Next question, who is targeting Makina? Logically speaking, it's the people who'd be inconvenienced by her return as the future head of the Irisu. In other words, the branch house or its allies. Learning that Makina recovered, the main family attempted to murder the branch family's figurehead, her half-sister. In retaliation, the branch family is beginning to maneuver behind the scenes, most likely aiming at removing Makina from the equation. And as for how that powerful faction inside the Irisu intends to treat Makina from now on, for the moment they're still gathering information, but once they're satisfied with the investigation, they'll probably move to take more direct action against her. Since she's staying put for the moment, I'm anticipating they'll begin a harassment campaign to intimidate her. But there's a definite chance they might progress into attempts on her life. In the end, what do we do? The answer's not going to change no matter who I'm up against. That said, there's a possibility of this opponent choosing to come at us with force of arms, and we don't have the personnel or equipment to resist. In that case, how about seizing the initiative? Better to crush cockroaches before they hatch. Take it one step further, and it's most efficient to kill the mother roach before she can even lay eggs. Of course, if I try anything along these lines, there won't be any turning back. My employer would no doubt hunt me down, but I'd rather die keeping her safe than live as a slave to the national interest. Whoa! Sakaki! What's wrong? Seems I was a little too deeply lost in thought. I didn't even notice Sakaki until she was standing right in front of me. Why don't you tell me? With this remark, Sakaki abruptly reaches out for my face and tightly seizes my cheeks between her thumbs and forefingers. Ouch! What the? Why are you had... What a terrible face. Maybe you could stop pinching me then. I don't know what exactly you're brooding about, but you're not going to be popular with girls if you keep making such frightening faces. Say what? Take a look in the mirror. Your eyes are clouded but shining with malice. It's like staring down a wild beast. Men are all east, you know. Seems like you got the composure to crack stupid jokes. At least, tell me. Did you even realize that Kamine-san was trying to talk to you earlier? Sachi was? When? Just a few minutes ago. It seems she addressed you several times as you stood here, but you didn't even respond. And because you're scowling like a cornered animal, it seems she quickly grew unable even to try. Sorry, I got a little lost in thought. I meant our academy students, not my children. You have children? No. No, I do not! Husta-hoke. I try my best to smile, but I just can't seem to get it right. I suppose the fact that Sakaki's pinching my cheeks with renewed vigor has something to do with that, but that's not the only problem. The girl's right. I'll manage to the point of unconsciously protecting a menacing aura. In fact, it's pretty damn impressive that Sakaki managed to pinch my cheeks under those circumstances. I look at her with just a little admiration in my eyes. My bad. Alright. Then briefly nods and releases my smarting cheeks at last. I assume something's happened involving Irisu-san, yes? Why do you know that? I recently looked a little deeper into her circumstances, and on paper, it seems she's still the future head of the Irisu, while her sister is the acting successor and nothing more. What does that mean? There was no formal resignation. She never officially stopped being the successor. But that girl's not interested in inheriting. She made that very plain to her grandfather. The Irisu are hardly a monolith, and surely are aware this is not quite simple. No matter how firmly the girl declares she's stepping aside, they aren't going to shrug and say, okay then, do keep in touch. Then what can we do? Let's see. Hold a conference in the presence of witnesses, complete the formal resignation procedures, and entrust her position to a new successor. Not that it's going to be that easy. Why not? Sounds pretty straightforward. There are too many people who have placed their faith in the main house's continued control of the clan. Too many subsidiaries and foreign joint enterprises financed directly by the current leadership. They'll face serious repercussions if the main house's representative loses sovereignty of the Irisu, and they're not going to take that sitting down. This is largely speculation on my part, but should control the Irisu pass to the branch family at the present time, I would estimate the finance, retail, manufacturing, export, import industries would stand to suffer a short-term recession of roughly 7%. Across the entire country? Yes, that's correct. On a global scale, the figure would be something like 1.7%. I imagine it would be providing new fuel to the global financial crisis of the last few years. Perhaps we could call it the Irisu shock? In other words, Makina saying no would impact the entire world? Indeed. Sometimes running away isn't an option. Sometimes the world simply won't permit it. Makina is still a child, Sakaki. Irisu-san is the main family's figurehead. Whether she's an adult or not has nothing to do with it. What feudal bullshit. They just want to use the blood in their veins. It's certainly unfortunate, but that's the fate she was born with. Is there nothing we can do about that? Take the long, slow path to gradually transferring sovereignty? The alternative would be... There's an alternative? Run away for another 3 years. 3 years? What happens in 3 years? Irisu-san yielded her position to her sister 7 years ago on the grounds of poor health. If she's unable to return to her duties as a successor within a period of 10 years, she's legally deprived of her inheritance rights. In other words, if she doesn't return to her old position within the next 3 years... That's right, Irisu-san's rights and privileges will be revoked. She'll become a normal girl. 3 years, huh? For me alone, disappearing for 3 years wouldn't be impossible, but if I'm taking Makina along as well, the situation almost certainly wouldn't be so simple. The main house will be using all their power to search for her, and the branch family too, so would no doubt try to take the opportunity to secure their position by assassinating Makina while she's on the run and vulnerable. At the very least, while Irisu-san is in this school, her safety has been guaranteed, but I don't know how much that promise will really mean in the end. What connection is there between the Irisu and this school? But people connected to the branch family were responsible for Irisu-san's admission to this school. Members of the branch family put her here? Why? Think about it. If they could isolate her in this school for 3 more years, she would be divested of her inheritance rights, yes? And so without even informing the main family of her release from the hospital, they quietly shuffled her off into a pleasant little cage. That's why she's here. As a matter of fact, the main family only discovered her presence here very recently. Supposedly, the branch family even arranged for a body double in the hospital she'd been staying in earlier. It was a fairly well-laid plan. My head's starting to hurt, so in other words, as long as she stays in this school, under the branch family's control, Makina's safe. Is that what you're telling me? It's what I would have told you, up until her sister was nearly killed by a car bomb at least. But the status quo has already been broken. Exactly. All bets are off. No choice but to crush the eggs after all. Here we go again with that frightening face. Shall I give your cheeks another pinch? Look, Sakaki, Keep calm. This isn't a problem you can solve on your own. You do understand that, yes? I understand, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. So stubborn. She's the one thing in the world I decide to protect of my own will, not because someone ordered me to. I can't very well back down, can I? If I said I envied Irisu-san just a little, I imagine it would come off as rather insensitive, wouldn't it? Better not say that in front of her, at least. In any case, this isn't a problem you can resolve in a day or two. For the moment, fortunately, the head and the Branch family seem to have their hands full throwing accusations back and forth over the negotiating table. My information is admittedly limited, but I'll inform you of any changes I'm able to detect. How about watching and waiting for the time being? I suppose so. Just as Sakaki said, there are no immediate changes in Makina's everyday life. She's able to follow her usual routine without incident. On the days when she works at the bakery, I quietly follow her on the way over, and in the evenings I wait outside to walk her home. It's starting to become a normal part of my day. When I slip out of the school's front gate a little after Makina, I never fail to spot a certain silver station wagon following her. Presumably more observers from that IGS detective agency. The first time I casually glanced in through the side window, I noticed the man holding the steering wheel wasn't that Naoyuki Ihara guy who'd screwed up last time. Idiots clumsy enough to get their wallet stolen while following a target presumably get reassigned to pushing paper around. I felt a small twinge of conscience. Passed quickly, though. Don't know who the new guy is, but since he was given the job after the dunce failed, he's most likely a pretty competent investigator. On top of which, we've now got 2 men assigned to the case. From what Sakaki tells me, the people employing IGS are indeed connected to the Branch family. In short, they're probably trying to determine whether Makina's obediently keeping her head down, looking for any evidence of her coming into contact with the main family. The silver station wagon follows a good distance behind Makina until reaching the shopping district, at which point the man sitting in the passenger seat gets out, while the driver takes the vehicle around the park in an alley lot on the other side of the station and leans the seat back and lies down. It's what they call a package drop in my workplace. Since they got 2 men on the job now, the observer and his driver seem to have a clear division of labor. Makes it easier to deal with sudden or unforeseen developments. Might seem slightly excessive just to keep an eye on Makina, but the bulk of their work actually seems to be investigating the people who enter the bakery where she works. The owner and his wife would already have been thoroughly checked, so instead they're photographing every single customer who stops by with a digital camera. They keep it up continuously from 9 in the morning till later than 5 in the evening. Wow, fuck. It must be ridiculously dull work, but they're very consistent and conscientious. Clearly a private detective's life isn't all thrills. But despite this obsessive investigation, they haven't found any suspicious individuals coming into contact with Makina. If there's a reason besides stubbornness that the Branch family hasn't called off surveillance at this point, Sakaki speculates it might have something to do with me. Looking into the people around Makina would naturally mean they pursued a thorough round of inquiries into the identities of those related to her school as well. The principal would be first on the list, but no doubt include the visiting lecturers and the contractors who maintain the facilities. Sakaki, Amane, Michiru, and Sachi can't have been an exception. And among all these, there's one and only one individual whose investigation would have turned up absolutely nothing. Myself, Kazami Yuji. Of course I do have a profile. Anyone with a bit of knowledge about these things would find it suspicious at a single glance, but there aren't any conclusive flaws or contradictions. My papers are clean and beautiful as driven snow. There must be someone over there who didn't like that overly tidy, blatantly prepared personal history. That would seem the most likely explanation for the way they're dragging out this fruitless surveillance of Makina's surroundings. They're probably aware this investigation isn't getting anywhere, but I'm not prepared to back down until they get a read on me. I'm sure IGS isn't too broken up about this state of affairs, since they're no doubt getting paid well for the dull but easy work. On the other hand, the Branch family must be getting pretty aggravated by the deadlock. If we can't finish the investigation, why not just remove the need to investigate? I don't know who made that call, but today the routine is finally broken. In the early evening, I'm making my way over to the bakery to pick up Makina when I notice a black sedan surging up the road ahead. The classless roaring of his exhaust system drawing louder and louder as it approaches. So I mean, remove the need to investigate, so Yuji or the bakery? That's not the only reason the car stands out. All the side windows are covered with a dark black film. And it's so low to the ground that it's probably a cut spring. Zigzagging across the road to avoid a manhole cover, the car screeches to a halt in front of Makina's bakery. And before I can do anything but start in surprise, the window on the passenger side abruptly slides open. You gotta be shitting me. As I take a first hurried step forward, my scalp burning with a sudden surge of panic. The muzzle of an automatic appears from inside the car. God damn it! I've been too happy-go-lucky. It's not so complicated from their perspective, is it? Eliminating Makina solves their problem in a single step. And out of all the cliched, simplistic ways to do it, I hadn't even considered the damn possibility. For a moment that seems to last a year, all I can do is curse my negligence. As the attackers speed past, I turn to memorize the number and make of their car. There's a sticker on the rear window with the words Team Bloodshare and a crude sketch of a skull holding a cherry bomb in its teeth. A biker gang? It's also possible that they're pros in a stolen vehicle, pretending to be gangsters as a cover. But that's not what matters right now. Makina, you're alright. Any injuries? What just happened? I heard something noisy outside, then all of a sudden it's like bang, bang, bang. The window in the shop just shattered. Calm down. It was just some idiots from a biker gang screwing around. More importantly, you weren't injured? Yeah. I was in the kitchen in the back, so I'm fine. But what's going on? A gang? In any case, let's get back inside for the moment. A drive-by shooting is a lot like a bombing, by which I mean the safest place you can be is one that's hit already. There aren't many idiots who'll plug another bullet right before where they fired the first one. When I enter the bakery of Makina, the owner is cradling a telephone against his shoulder, desperately explaining that shots were fired through his window. From the tone of his voice, it's clear he's talking to the police. The nearest neighborhood station is right outside Mishima Cape Station. Not even 200 meters away as the crow flies. They should be here in minutes. Please don't let it be that guy again. At times like these, my bad premonitions are depressingly accurate. Last thing I want to deal with right now is my good friend Officer Sourface and his usual barrage of sarcasm and suspicion. Time to get moving. Under the circumstances, I was expecting a little resistance if Makina tried to leave as usual. When the girl asks, "Can I go home now?" her employer just nods and says goodnight. Now the terror is faded, the man seems to have worked up a good bit of outrage over the damage to his shop. He's too busy shouting at the policeman on the other end of the line to worry about anything else. Alright, let's go home. Yeah. Despite her dopey personality, Makina's got sharp instincts. She's surely figured out by now that bullets fired into the shop weren't a random prank. A gloomy expression settled into her face. I fall into the next step to the girl, then wrap an arm around her shoulders and pull her close in a casually protective gesture. 4 bullets were fired in the direction of the shop. The first hit their signboard, the second and third penetrated the glass and front show windows, ultimately lodging in the rear walls of the bakery. The fourth hit a plastic bucket in the alleyway outside. Most likely they weren't fired at any particular target. The point of the shooting was to intimidate and threaten the people inside. In other words, it was simple harassment. A warning to the effect of, "We could kill you at any time we needed you dead." Of course, the intent of the attackers doesn't change the fact that potentially deadly bullets were fired at their store. It's no consolation in the slightest. Should this simple but effective threat convince Makina to quit her job at the bakery, it'd minimize her contact with the outside world and reduce the time wasted on fruitless investigations. For the Branch family, it was probably a minor risk well worth taking. Are you alright? Makina's been trudging along silently at my side for some time, looking down at the pavement below. She hasn't said a word since we left the bakery. This sucks. I always end up causing trouble for the people around me. As if there's a single person in the world who isn't causing trouble for someone. But I think I'm about the only kid who gets in trouble like bullets through your windows. There's a driver in that car with her sister. Nothing going to remind her. Maybe I should just go home after all. That way I won't make trouble for anybody, right? Maybe so, but you don't want to go back, do you? Yeah, then you don't have to. But, not to worry, I'll make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen again. How are you gonna do that? What are you planning, Papa? Stop it. Don't do anything dangerous! Please don't! It's nothing particularly dangerous. I'm just going to get the police to give this for full attention. The police? It's an organization that exists to keep law-abiding citizens safe and secure. Only normal to rely on them at times like these, right? Unless the police are close friends with the Irisu clan, then you're basically fucked. Not making use of them would be foolish. Once we made our way back to the dorm, I entrusted the clearly depressed Makina to Kamine Sachi. I also considered the option of leaving this to Amane, but I also decided our class rep would be the better choice for this time. My reasoning concerns what you might call Sachi's peculiar virtues, specifically a certain quickness on the uptake characteristic of an experienced maid, and the modesty to refrain from asking too many questions. Please leave the rest to me. Instead, she nods her assent without even a moment's hesitation. Things wouldn't have gone nearly this smoothly with Amane. When it comes to Makina, the woman's something of a worrywart. She wouldn't be able to help barraging us with questions. Although I'm sure Amane would eventually understand the matter is best left alone, it would bother her so much that she'd end up getting gloomy too. That might leave Makina feeling even worse than before. I'll have to explain what happened to Amane and the others in due time, but for the moment, leaving it to Sachi is probably the optimal choice. Maki-chan, do you want to come to my room? Shall I make some chocolate milk? Yeah. Thanks, Sachin. So yeah, the bakery's now under attack. Because she said no. She said no when it came to returning to her family. Now the bakery's under siege. I'd like to hear the circumstances later. She doesn't make a sound, but I hear the words clearly enough. I nod briefly, then make my way up the stairs and head toward a certain room. Sakaki, it's me. And who's that? Me, your grandson. I'm in trouble. Please transfer 1 million yen to the following bank account. Please take the scam somewhere else. I'm busy. Sorry to interrupt, but please open the door. This is urgent. What's this urgent business? I'm bleeding from my crotch and it just won't stop. Got any extra sanitary napkins? Hey, I was just kidding! Come back! Next time you make a stupid joke like that, I'll make it reality. Sorry, this is serious, alright? Please hear me out. Go ahead then. What is it? Let me borrow your computer. What? There's something I need to look into. I'd like to be alone in the room if that's possible. Planning to investigate kind of a long story. You expect me to agree without any explanation whatsoever? Point taken. Okay, I'll give you the executive summary. Someone took a few pot shots at the bakery where Makina works. What? Fortunately, no one was injured, but it's most likely harassment from the Branch family to make her quit her job. So they finally begun to take action. That's a theory, but I can't say for sure who was responsible yet. That's what I want to borrow your PC to investigate. Alright then. But do me a favor and don't access any strange websites. Appreciate it. I'll let you know when I'm done, so go kill some time reading the porn magazines under my bed or something. That was a joke, yes? Why don't you take a look and see? Very well then. Just so you know, if there really are any, I'm going to burn them. Feel free. Wonder what sort of expressions she'd make if I changed her PC wallpaper to a picture of my groin. Unfortunately, there's no time for such absurd pranks at the moment. I switch on the notebook computer sitting on her desk, then hunt around in my breast pocket for JB's business card, and as something boots up, the machine boots up, so I'm gonna guess Physicist and Debugger are playing Team Fortress 2 together, right? I'm still really busy with Grisaia right now, so... Plus, I don't even have Team Fortress 2, so I'm not gonna be joining them. Underneath a simple but professional logo consisting of the letters A and C overlapping, the words Asahi Clean LLC, Second Public Relations Division, and Haradera Yuria, Section Chief, are printed in embossed type. In a smaller font below, there's an email address and a URL for the company's webpage. Once the computer loads its desktop, I immediately open a web browser and type in the address. And just as you'd expect, a typical corporate front page for the Asahi Clean Company appears. Normally, I'd only be using this through our company's secure internal telecommunications network. But even using a normal public connection, it's possible to get our access to our database through an emergency ID and login. However, the company's not quite so happy-go-lucky as to hand out such lovely authorization to a mere part-timer like myself. I click on a small user ID field in the upper right of the page, enter Julia 000393, then move my cursor to the password field. At this point, I pause to stroke my chin thoughtfully. Well then. Closing my eyes, I recall JB's body in all its vulgar glory. I've been out of touch for quite some time, but I don't think these numbers will have changed that easily. Those are her measurements. 172, 96, 56, 90, 55. Okay. I tapped in the figures as I recalled them, then clicked the login button. Instantly bounced back with a brusque incorrect user ID or password error. Huh. Shit. Oh, good. Did she put on some weight? Mistyping the password 3 times will trigger an automatic warning to the company. I've only got 2 more shots at this. 172, 96, 58, 92, 57. How's that? The moment I click the login button for the second time, the hard disk begins grinding away intensely as a new page automatically opens virus detection software to scan the computer. Bingo. She better watch that ice cream habit. After a minute or so, the browser window changes to a dry, functional terminal screen. Empty except for a number of labeled tabs at the top. Select vehicle lookup and a new frame pops up immediately. I quickly enter the car's manufacturer, model, color, and license plate number into the appropriate fields and run the search. The result: no corresponding vehicle found. I've been more or less expecting something of the sort would happen, so it's not particularly discouraging. This time I try a search using only the license plate number, but again I get nothing. Seems they weren't using a license plate bore from another vehicle, but instead a counterfeit with a random mishmash of a number. In which case the only remaining hint would be that sticker in the rear window, I suppose. Wonder if searching under other might turn up something. Just as I'm pondering the next step, my cell phone begins to ring shrilly inside the pocket of my uniform. The caller should probably go without saying at this point. Hey there, JB. Alright, Yuji. You're accessing our wide area network from the outside, aren't you? There's a little something I want to look into. How many times did I tell you not to use my ID? Let's not get too caught up in little things, okay? Not to worry, I won't let you know... I won't let anyone know you gained weight lately. Our little secret. That's not what I'm worried about here! Oh, you sure about that? Wait, that doesn't mean it's okay for you to start telling people I gained weight, you know? I mean, I didn't gain any weight in the first place. Well, they make you switch passwords every once in a while. I had to change it up somehow, so I just increased the numbers a little. What are you making excuses to here? Well, what were you trying to investigate? A motorcycle club named Blood Cherry. Skull with a bomb in its mouth as a logo. Probably affiliated with local organized crime. You know, there's hardly any reason to go out of your way to log in illegally for something that simple. Wouldn't it have been easier to just ask me? Well, probably so, but it's not directly connected to my work for the company. So I was trying to show a little restraint. You won't find many men more tactful than me. Blood cherries and a cherry bomb. Right. Alright, I'll look it up for you. When do you need this information? Sooner the better. Right now, if possible. Right now? Yes, that's what I said. Look. Look, JB. I tried to do it myself because I didn't want to make you sigh like that. Unbelievable. Alright, then I'll do it now. Will immediately do? Or do you need it sooner? Can you handle that? I'm sorry. What do you think the Central Intelligence Division does for a living? Of course I can do it. Sorry about this. You have my undying gratitude. So you're always saying, although you sure don't act like it. I'm always grateful to you, JB. After all, now that Asako's gone, you're the only family I have left. I'll email you the results in 12 minutes. Thanks, Julia. When Asako died, and I nearly lost sight of the reason I was alive, somehow or other, Julia gave me the courage I needed to get back on my feet. Precisely 12 minutes later, an email arrives in my inbox from a certain punctual German. Come on, stand up, you little shit. Hey, give me a break here. Seriously, I did the job just fine, right? Oh, still got the energy to run your fucking mouth, huh? Yeah, guess that means a little more won't kill you, right? You stupid fuck. Oh. Sorry. No more. For real. Cut a guy a break. Christ. What do we do, Ato-san? Huh? He's kind of begging for forgiveness or whatever. What's the verdict? Can I just kill the little shit? Huh? Hey now, slow down. That's no good. Killing people ain't right, you know. Didn't your teachers ever tell you that at school? Not to brag, But I wasn't real big on the whole going to school thing. That's one's newest to me. Whatever. Bring the kid over here for a second. Yes, sir. Come on, you. Stop flopping around. Get the fuck up already, shithead! Yeah, that hurts, man. I can get up myself. You don't gotta yank me around like that. Okay. Who are you again? Your name. Let's see, Takashi-kun? It's Tadashi. Ishikawa Tadashi. Oh, is that right? Yeah, Tadashi-kun. Look, kid. You know, you kinda fucked up, right? When I give you a job, you gotta do it the way I tell you to do it. Come on, I shot at the bakery just like you told me to, right? What's the big deal? Or even listen to me, kid. I said to use the pinched car, right? Hey, Okuda. I did say that, right? Yep, that you did. Right? Fuck. You got me all nervous I got forgotten to mention it. Oh shit. Stop fucking around. Urgh. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, kid. I told you to do it in a pinched car, yeah? So what the fuck are you doing charging their own fucking ride? Like, what? Look at me, everybody. My car's so cool. Trying to show off for something, huh? Of course not, boss. That's just pinching the car, such a pain. And I got fake plates and all, so I guess I sort of figured nobody would really find out. We can't have that. Look, kid. That's just not gonna cut it, see? Can't have that. Look, it's not like I'm gonna piss and moan if you land yourself in the joint, right? But what if nabbing your dumb ass gets them, you know, deducting or whatever. Deducing, ain't it? Yeah, right. That's it. So what I'm trying to get at here is this. What if they end up deducing their way back to us, huh? That's no fucking joke, don't you think? Huh? My bad, man. Cut me a break here. You're fucking hopeless. Christ. Why does every biker kid have to be completely brain dead? Can't take care of the simplest goddamn errand in the world without shitting your own pants. You're useless, kid. Complete waste of oxygen. Fuck, you ain't even worth my time to kill. Right? This getting through your thick skull yet? Huh? I'm sorry, man. For real. I won't screw up next time. Idiot. There ain't gonna be no goddamn next time. You think I'm gonna share a cup with a useless little shit like you? What? That's not what you promised. And you're the one who didn't do what I fucking told you, right? Then where you hire yourself, kid? Come on. You said the same thing last time, and you still haven't given me a cup. Of course not, idiot. If you want the cup, then take your job seriously and make yourself fucking useful. I can throw a pork chop to a goddamn dog and do better work than you, kid. Got it? Yes, sir. Don't just yes sir me, asshole. Are you even taking this shit seriously? I'll be fine next time. For real. I'm gonna get my act together, I swear. The fuck? Christ. Next time you fuck up, you're fucking dead. Think you can remember that? Yes, sir. Ah? Nah, screw that. I just remembered. Kid, that wasn't the only fuck up with you, was it? Well, was there something else? Last night you showed off that piece I gave you to some girl in a bar, didn't you? What was that, kid? I was just, well, I told you, right? I told you to keep your goddamn trap wired shut. And then what'd you do? The moment I give you the piece, you brag about it to some slut in the bar? What the fuck? Are you fucking retarded or something? No, screw this. You're seriously worthless. Hey, Okuda, go ahead and kill the little shit. What? Come on, man. The fuck are you doing? Okuda! Hurry up and kill this idiot! Okuda! Huh? Okuda? The fuck are you taking a nap for? Get the fuck up. God. Hey? Tadashi? What the? Bastard. What the fuck? Who are you? I know you're there. Quit hiding and get out here. Shuhokai Deputy Underboss. Susumu Ato-san, right? Huh? The hell are you supposed to be? Where are you? Get the fuck out of here. What are you looking at? I'm right behind you. What the? As the toe spins around violently, the back of my hand meets the tip of his jaw. Amplified by his own momentum, the blow jerks his head a good 90 degrees to the side. Quivering from the impact, the two's eyes roll back in his head. He's unconscious before his knees hit the ground. Normally this would be the point where you start kicking kidneys or crushing windpipes just to be on the safe side. But instead I roll the 3 unconscious men over, tie their hands between their backs with high-strength nylon rope, then do the same to their ankles. As the finishing touch, I tie their bound ankles and wrists together, leaving them curled helplessly backward like 3 particularly puffy and unattractive seals. Honestly, first a detective agency, now organized crime? Our friends at the Branch family are just full of lovely surprises. Ugh. The hell? You little shits. What the fuck is this? Who are you with? Sorry about the surprise attack. Couldn't go picking a fair fight with Yakuza, you know. I'd get kicked out of the house if I lost. Bastard. You got a lot of fucking nerve. Pulling a stunt like this. You think we're gonna let you get off? You think we're gonna let you off easy? Suppose you wouldn't know. You people do take your pride pretty seriously. As expected, he's got a pull-through snap leather holster strapped on his left side, with a shining silver automatic visible inside. What's this? A Taurus? Damn, even the deputy underboss are packing some pretty nice toys these days. Thing almost looks like a toy at first glance. Look, Atu-san, the Chaco's bad enough, but this is a bit much, don't you think? Silver polish and a pro grip? There's bad taste and then there's just posturing. I'd always thought villains only packed a flashy custom Taurus in the movies, but seems my belief system needs revisiting. You little shit. The fuck do you think you're doing? Stop fucking around. I'm not fucking around, my friend. Sorry, we are going to be moving to a nice villa for a while. What? I hit the mag catch button with my thumb and removed the magazine, then pulled back on the slide and peered into the chamber. It's empty. The hell's the point of having a fast draw holster if you need to take the time to chamber around before you can shoot? I'll show, huh? Well, whatever. Pushing the disassembly down with my forefinger, I rotate the lever downward, then advance and remove the slide assembly. After compressing the recoil spring and guide, I carefully pull the barrel free. What the fuck? Do you think you're doing, asshole? If you can't tell by looking, there's no reason to waste my breath trying to explain. Once I've methodically arranged the disassembled components of the gun on the ground, I grab one of Ato's hands and begin applying his fingerprints to them. Hey. The hell? What are you trying to pull? You still don't get it? I'm getting your prints all over this gun. Most thugs clean their fingerprints off pistols these days, but there's plenty of morons who forget to wipe the insides of the weapon as well. I'm having our friend Ato-san here become one such idiot. Naturally, I'm wearing thin rubber surgical gloves for every step of this procedure, so as to keep my own finger oils to myself. Stop it. Bastard. The fuck are you thinking? You really want to know? Don't think I feel like telling, though. I'm a bit of a tease that way. I extract the 9mm bullets in the magazine one by one and carefully press them against the tips of Ato's fingers. After I'm finished applying his prints to the internals of the weapon, I snap the gaudy Taurus back together the way it was, then wrap it carefully in a towel. Okay then. I'll be on my way now. What the fuck? You planning on just leaving us like this? True, that might be a little much. Alright then, what was the name of that useless biker kid over there again? Ishikawa Tadashi? I'll untie his ropes, so just have him help you out once he wakes up. Hey, Tadashi! Wake up, you fucking idiot! With the sound of Ato bellowing desperately as comatose underlying, echoing pleasantly in my ears, I take my leave. Well then, I went out of my way to nab a tacky pistol from a Shu Hokai underboss. Could just toss it in the window of a police station, but if Officer Bumblefuck proceeds to drop it in the lost and found, my efforts will have been wasted. So what do I do then? The solution's really straightforward. Simple as this. Step 1. Squeeze out a few shots at the police station. Step 2. Toss the gun in some random bush nearby. Step 3. Haul ass out of there. Nice and easy. A bored police force is proof of a peaceful city. Nothing to be ashamed of. That said, without the occasional bit of excitement, anyone would get complacent and slow on their feet. A little cold sweat's only healthy every once in a while. Doing good deeds really does make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I think I'll be able to sleep soundly tonight. It's been 3 days since the shooting at the bakery. Makina hasn't taken a step outside the school grounds after that incident. She's spending even more time inside the dorm than she used to. That said, she's not just moping around gloomily. It's appeared! Your guardian spirit is a bright red hot dog. Excuse me, what? Why do I have a friggin' sausage for a spirit animal? And a bright red one? What's that supposed to mean? Complain all you want, but I know what I saw. There was this big red thing floating behind ya. What? I mean, how does that even make sense? It's a guardian spirit, right? A hot dog isn't even a living thing. How can it have a spirit? What? Wait, when I look closely, it's kinda crabby? A crab leg? Why is it a crab? Huh? It's a guardian spirit, right? Like a spirit that keeps you safe. How are crab legs supposed to guard me? However, Michiru-sama, a crab is at least a living thing, and is a culinary ingredient. I believe it's several stages above the humble hot dog. That's not the problem here, okay? Ah, I was wrong. This thing ain't no crab. It's crab-flavored fish paste. You got me good. Not only did it get cheaper, but it's even less of a living thing. Well, I suppose you could say that, but crab-flavored paste is made with the pulverized flesh of fish. Perhaps one could say that Michiru-sama's guardian spirit is the walleye pollock, in a sense? That's still not exactly reassuring, you know? Don't let it get to ya. Processed foodstuffs ain't so bad in the grand scale of things. Heck, Yumi-chan's guardian spirit was a AA battery, you know? What's wrong with a AA battery? It's the most common size you need, right? That strikes me as a somewhat questionable standard of evaluation in this case. Makina is at least acting like a normal, cheerful self. But according to Amane's testimony, when the girl is alone, she often drops her head and stares at the floor, silently brooding. The cause is obvious enough. Anyone would be depressed after an ugly incident like that. And for that reason, I have an obligation to get off my ass and take action. You going somewhere, Yuji? Yeah, I got a job in the city today. Papa. Don't worry, I'll be back by evening. Sachi, look after her for me. I'll be back in no time. Are you really gonna be okay on your own? Just trust me. What? What the heck is this? Are you marching off to the battlefield or something? I'm going to meet Makina's mother. Her mom? Huh? Why? I'm going to ask her to leave Makina to me. Huh? What? Is that a proposal? Like, please give me your daughter? That sort of thing? Not even close, but... it's surprisingly hard to define the exact difference. Seriously? You two are getting married? Like I just said, you got it all wrong. Anyway, I'll be on my way now. Have a safe journey. What? Since things have come this far. I have no choice but to talk directly to a figure of authority in the Irisu and appeal for a stop to this coercive campaign against Makina. Normally that would mean directly meeting Makina's grandfather, but the man sits at the top of a very high peak. It's hard to imagine I'd be able to secure even a chance to negotiate. What's more, precisely because he's so far above the clouds. Apparently there's a good chance Haruchika doesn't even know much about the recent shooting incident. Seems strange that acting head executive wouldn't know what's going on in his own organization, but on that point, Sakaki provided me with a fairly convincing explanation last night. Let's say you cut the tip of your finger. Of course, the moment that injury occurs, you'll feel pain. Within moments, you should realize you suffered an injury. But that doesn't mean you're aware of the bacteria penetrating your wound, or how your white blood cells are fighting them, yes? True enough. The Irisu family is much the same. If you compare their clan to a body, this matter is the equivalent of a splinter lodging in their fingertip. The brain, Mr. Haruchika, will be aware of the splinter because of the pain it's causing him. But his blood cells are operating below the level of his awareness. That's how any organization of that size functions. I see. Even so, I can't just let things stay this way. Fortunately enough, we're human beings, not cells. We should at least be able to negotiate. In that case, I believe it would be wise to begin by meeting Irisu's mother, Irisu Kyoka. Makina's mother, is it? Mr. Haruchika may be the acting head of the Irisu, but it's hardly a secret that Kyoka and her mother, Hatsune, are the ones truly directing their activities. The Irisu are a matrilinear clan, now that you mention it. I'm not gonna say something like talking to Grandpa won't do any good. Maybe she meant that the man's a figurehead, lacking the authority and influence to help even if he wanted to. The best decision from Mr. Haruchiko's perspective is not necessarily the best decision for the organization as well. And when such conflicts do arise, the individuals who possess ultimate decision-making power are Irisu-san's mother and her grandmother, or so it would appear. If you want to negotiate, it would be best to begin with Kyoka, who controls the Irisu's enterprise within Japan. But of course, I doubt it's particularly easy to get in the point with her either. It was a valid point, but as I'm always telling Makina, there's no chance of getting anywhere if you don't try. When backing down isn't an option, there's no reason not to test every option you have, even you know the odds are long. Lowering Makina's cell, I called her mother, but the woman didn't pick up the phone. After making several attempts at regular intervals, I finally left a succinct message on her voicemail. I need to talk to you about Irisu Makina. And this morning I received a return call directly from Irisu Kyoka herself. The woman was calling her daughter's cell phone, but a strange man answered. She made no attempt to hide her understandable mistrust, but after I explained that I was acting as Makina's representative, I seemed to earn at least provisional recognition, successfully convincing her to make time for a face-to-face conversation. In order to meet Makina's mother at 1500 hours this afternoon, I take the train alone from Mishima Cape Station into the city. My appointment's at the headquarters of the clan's core organization, Irisu Global. Although I said the city, the building apparently stands discreetly a good distance from Tokyo's core. I'm not fond of the trains, but for Makina's sake, I need to try it and settle this as quickly as humanly possible. After somehow toughing out 48 miserable minutes on 3 different trains, I spent half an hour walking the 10-minute taxi ride from the station to the Irisu Global building, and still managed to arrive 15 minutes ahead of time. Considering the scale of the Irisu Enterprises, the headquarters is a surprisingly compact 12-story building, not any different in size from a branch office in my company. From Sakaki's stories, I'd imagine a towering monument to corporate power and wealth, but this leaves a very different impression. Well, better than getting intimidated by the building right off the bat, I guess. I've been a little concerned about being overrun by some massive skyscrapers, so this is a pleasant surprise. You always start off at a psychological minus when negotiating in the opponent's stronghold. So even a small plus like this is something to be grateful for. Drawing the necktie on my school uniform tied around my neck, I make my way quietly through the automatic door in the front of the building, then confirm my appointment at the desk. We have you on the schedule. Please follow me. The receptionist, a worthy match for Komine Sachi in the utterly expressionless department, guides me to a bank of elevators, where a woman in a clearly expensive dark red suit is patiently holding a door open. My name is Sawada. I am currently serving as Kyoka's personal assistant. Please, this way. Never even opening her eyes, Miss Sawada offers a perfect 10-degree bow. Returning a small nod of greeting, I enter the red-carpeted elevator as instructed. Even the elevators have red carpets. Wow, this is a fancy headquarters. On second glance, the panel only has buttons for the lobby and the 12th floor. Looks like this is a private elevator to the president's office in the penthouse. When we arrive a few seconds later, Miss Sawada simply murmurs this way quietly before setting off down the hallway. As I follow, I can't help but confirm the positions of the windows and emergency exits as per my usual habit. Gazing outside the windows, I'm less concerned with the pleasant view than potential sniping points. This has gotta be an occupational disease at this point. Sort of like a patch of rust inside my mind that won't scrape off. The corridor of the secretary leads me down only has one actual door. Inside, there's a modest room about 13 square meters in size, dominated by a desk that's built into the floor. A nameplate reading Sawada Hiroka stands on its surface. Presumably this is my guide's personal office. In the very back of this room, there's a more imposing door made of thick, expensive-looking wood. Miss Sawada raps on it lightly with her knuckles, calling Kazami Yuji has arrived, ma'am, to the person inside. Please, do come in. And the answer she receives in return is spoken in a far more youthful voice than I expected. Miss Sawada opens the door and guides me inside. The moment I cross the threshold, I squeeze both hands into fists on my side, then click my heels together in sign of attention. Kazami Yuji reporting in. As Irisu Kyoko watches me bow from behind her desk, her eyes open wide for just a moment. That startled expression strongly resembles Makina's. Not that I really suspected otherwise, but it's more than enough to convince me this woman is her mother. Thank you for coming. Well, no need to stand on formality. Please, do take a seat. As she offers me gentle, bland words of greeting, Irisu Kyoka's eyes glanced not to my face, but to my feet. My master once told me, women who look at your feet first need to be handled with caution. It's the sign of a person who judges a man's worth based on the shoes they're wearing. Their attitude changes dramatically based on that evaluation. I'm wearing black loafers of the sort designated by the Yamahama Academy dress code. Not high-quality products by any means, but thanks to the habits I picked up in my workplace, they're so well polished you can see your face in them. Would you care for a drink? No, please don't take the trouble. There's no reason to hold back, you know. You're taking care of my daughter, after all. Sawada, please bring us some cold tea. Certainly, ma'am. As we wait for the tea, Kyoka observes me carefully, the bright smile never leaving her face. After a long moment of silence, she abruptly opens her mouth. Perhaps you were surprised to find our headquarters housed in such a relatively modest building. Well, yes. Understandable, but it's not often you'll see a structure of this scale built entirely in-house, you know? In-house, ma'am? Not only was this building designed by one of our architects and built by our construction company, but everything you've seen since stepping in the front door has been one of our products. The decorative plants in the lobby, the drinks in the vending machine, even the elevator you rode up to this floor was of Irisu manufacture. While it might sound a little extreme, everyone working in this building is Irisu to the core. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say virtually everything here bears our stamp. Is that so? Are these words intended as some kind of a boast? Or perhaps a reminder that I don't have a single ally in this place? An implicit threat? Irisu Kyoka, an expression of studied innocence on her face, begins to answer questions I haven't asked. The majority of people in Japan live in the palm of Irisu's hand without even knowing it. For example, right, even the konjac jelly you ate for breakfast this morning was one of our products. I don't believe I had any, actually. Oh, what a shame. It's quite popular with the young people these days, you know. Have you seen the television slot? Konjac morning energy charge and all that. You know, the commercial where the male idol Iguchi Usuma prances around Shibuya Station while gulping down the jelly. Unfortunately, I'm afraid not. I'm guessing it's Irisu produced as well, that commercial. Please do take a box home with you as a souvenir. I'll call down and arrange it immediately. But I came here today as a representative of Irisu Makina, not a tourist. Representative, is it? My apologies, but what exactly is the nature of your relationship with Makina? We're classmates. Classmates? Would a mere classmate intervene this deeply in our personal family matters? I received more than adequate compensation for my involvement. Compensation? Now you mention it, I did hear a fairly decent amount of money was withdrawn from the girl's account. Is that how it is? It is indeed. You don't say? My. I was rather curious about the nature of a little shopping spree. I see, so she bought you? Heavens. Purchasing a human being with money. Well, the girl's certainly something. I'm the abnormal one for allowing myself to be purchased. Please don't blame your daughter. Goodness, such loyalty. At least the girl spent her money well. I've returned with the tea. Come in. Miss Sawada carries in 2 cool glass teacups and a wooden tray with an artful assortment of small cakes. Bending her knees carefully to the ground, she personally arranges them on the low table in front of us. Please, do help yourself. Very kind of you. I bring the teacup to my mouth. Watching out of the corner of my eye, Sawada bows silently and slips out of the room. The tea is a rich, pleasant aroma, and a single sip spreads clean. Simple sweetness throughout my mouth. If I'm able to appreciate its excellent flavor like this, I'm probably not dangerously nervous at the moment. Returning my cup to the table, I abruptly broached the main topic. In regards to Irisu Makina, it seems she no longer has the slightest intention of returning. So now we're talking about that all of a sudden. It's the reason I came here, after all. And what do you want me to do exactly? Makina has no interest in returning to the Irisu clan in any capacity. Therefore, I would ask you to bring the various forms of harassment being employed against her to a complete halt. Harassment? You're referring to what exactly? Were you not aware that the bakery where she's currently employed had 4 live bullets fired at the shop front? I heard the story, yes. However, that wasn't done in my directions, you know? Rumor has it an extreme faction within the Branch family might have been responsible, but the details are still under investigation. Of course, it didn't come here with the assumption that you were responsible. However, you are capable of issuing an order to refrain from further extreme actions. This is an appeal for your assistance. Well, that's not as interesting as I expected. Would you mind if I asked you something? I'll answer anything I can. I've received a report that a group of individuals thought to be the perpetrators of the crime in question were taken into police custody, having been bound beforehand by an unknown assailant. Might that by any chance have been your doing? I can't say I recall anything of the sort. Really now. Don't you think it a bit far-fetched to suggest a mere student like myself could possibly have taken such an outrageous course of action? To be certain, a normal student would be able to manage that. But tell me, does that really describe you? You can see for yourself, ma'am. I am thoroughly unremarkable, dime a dozen student. And you expect me to believe that Makina hired such an utterly dull human being at the cost of 70 million yen? If you'll excuse my saying so, that has less to do with my daughter's capabilities and more with your daughter's exceptionally eccentric personality. However, I must say, Irisu Kyoka leans closer to the leather sofa where I'm seated, and gives the air a gentle but audible sniff. You have the scent of an exceptionally brutal attack dog about you. Do I really smell? I did bathe before my visit, for what it's worth. Come now, as though a little water could wash away a scent that's sunk into your very bones. Well, alright then. Consider your petition heard. I will emphasize that no extreme measures are to be taken against Makina. I'm grateful for your understanding. Could I have your seal on the settlement agreement? Oh, goodness, what a surprise. You haven't prepared documentation? Respectfully. A private verbal promise to a student doesn't amount to much. I understand. I'll sign your papers. However, please keep in mind this arrangement is only the result of our personal discussion here today, yes? What do you mean by that? I'm quite willing to agree not to issue any orders or directives aimed at harming Makina, and I will admonish my subordinates not to touch her as well. However, there's no guarantee that everyone within this organization will obey my orders. That's all I meant. But that makes your agreement all but meaningless. Naturally, I'll bear appropriate responsibility for the actions others may take in defiance of my instructions. But surely you understand yourself that the matter is rather complicated? After all, Makina's supporters in the main house were the ones who escalated the situation. They blew up Serena's car, for heaven's sake. That was a direct attack on the Branch family's foremost representative. I can tell the Branch family not to take revenge, but who knows how many of them will actually listen. I came here today in the hope you'd find a way to make them listen. In circumstances this tangled and bitter, isn't that expecting a little too much? We're talking about your own child here, ma'am. Yes, true enough. I labor painfully to bring both Makina and Serena into this world. However, I'm not interested in the slightest which of them inherits control of the Irisu. That's not the problem here. I want to keep Makina safe, yes? The single, simplest, and most certain way is to entrust her to the main family. When she's within the fold, even the most radical in the Branch family would think twice before laying a hand on her. But that's... No matter how much Makina may dislike the idea, this is still the optimal choice. Won't you attempt to convince her as well? That's not possible. In that case, I'll talk to her myself. But of course, even if I were to call her directly, I'm sure the girl won't answer the phone. Could you place the call instead? Unless Makina herself wants to talk to you, I won't be able to hand over the phone. That's still acceptable. Very well. I take out my cell phone from my breast pocket and dial Makina's number. Papa, what's wrong? Are you done talking already? We're still in the middle of our conversation, but your mother said she wants to speak to you. Would that be alright? You can just come up with some excuse if you don't want to talk. It's completely up to you. I'll try talking to her. You going to be alright? Yeah, over the phone should be okay, I think. I'm going to give the phone to your mother now. Makina seems to be willing to talk. Oh, is that so? Kyoka gingerly accepts the cell phone from my outstretched hand and brings it to her ear. Hello, is that you? Makina? It's me. Huh? As I said, it's me. Excuse me. I can't hear you. Speak up a little. What? It's me, Irisu Kyoka, the woman who gave birth to you. What sort of a child mistakes her own mother for a con artist? Honestly. Probably not wanting me to overhear the phone call, Irisu Kyoka stands from her seat with my cell phone, then walks off briskly to the far window. What sort of a conversation do you possibly have with the mother you haven't even seen in 6 years? More importantly, was allowing them to talk directly really a wise decision on my part? But just as my impatience begins to develop into something like regret, Irisu Kyoka returns to my cell phone, having concluded our discussion much more quickly than I expected. Thank you very much. Here, I'm returning this. Perhaps something of a clean freak. She holds out my cell phone, pinched delicately between the tips of her fingers, as if handling something deeply unsanitary. Taking it carefully, I try to study her expression, but... the face of Makina's mother, a woman who's lived her life moving in the shadows of the Irisu Zaibatsu, reveals absolutely nothing. We were able to reach a conclusion, so please feel free to be on your way. I appreciate your visit. A conclusion? What kind of? That's the result of a private conversation between myself and my daughter. I'm under no obligation to explain the specifics to you. I'm afraid I can't be satisfied with that. Well, I came here as Makina's representative. In the end, you yielded the dialogue to your client herself. In other words, you've already waived your right to act as proxy, you see? Without my recognition, you have no authority whatsoever to participate in this matter. Certainly true. Very good. Now you got a solid grasp of your own ineptitude. Please take your konjac jelly on the first floor and run along back to your school. Not only am I supposed to go home without accomplishing anything whatsoever, you expect me to carry back a box of souvenirs like a complete idiot? Oh goodness, so you're not entirely oblivious. I was so hoping you'd be callow enough to take it. Perhaps realizing the insult halfway home and angrily hurling your jelly away. I see. Quite the arrogant personality. This woman seems to have divided human beings into two clearly defined categories. She looks down on those who can't profit her in some way as garbage. Words won't get you anywhere with this type. After heaving a single quiet sigh, I rise from the sofa. Thank you for your time. I will return at a later date. Downstairs, I politely refuse an offer of a car to the station, and naturally turn down the jelly souvenir as well. In the end, I leave with nothing but a painful reminder. Despite my somewhat unusual set of skills and experiences, I'm still nothing but a powerless student. On the walk back to the station, my legs feel far heavier than usual. The thought why I even come here weighs me down like a backpack full of lead. The woman said a conclusion had been reached, but it's not clear what results that strangely brief conversation will ultimately produce. Today's dinner is flounder stew, you know? I could just stop here for the night, perhaps. I mean, I've been live for a little over 2 hours, so I'm actually going to stop here for the night. And probably just continue this tomorrow, most likely. And just continue to catch up on missed time with Grisaia.